Welcome! Well, it had to happen. A broken arm doesn't just heal itself, and I've got unboxings to do. Fortunately, I've not had a dearth of postage like I have over the past few months, and I was able to schedule some later videos out a bit more, and this is the first unboxing of any description that I've decided to do in my injured state. I'll give a little update for people who want, and before I carry on with that, just want to say how massively touched I was from everyone who left comments on videos once they'd heard about my broken arm, and all the lovely messages and things that I got on Facebook, Instagram, privately. Really appreciate it. Just goes to show not only a fantastic community here on YouTube, but I've got some lovely friends, many of whom I've known for most of my life, and lovely family. As for the injury, the fractured ulna, for those who don't know what happened, and also I dislocated the elbow, or the radium, or radial, I can't remember. The name seems to change every time. The undislocated it, or put it back where it should be, on the Friday, the 4th, when I initially broke everything. And then the Tuesday, which was the day I was going in for the operation to repair the fracture, early that morning, or late the Monday night, I dislocated the elbow again. That was the horrible part. So yeah, everything's kind of one-handed at the moment. As you can see, I've sort of got limited mobility. There's a big pot underneath. This bandage probably needs redoing, but I'll be having a hospital appointment for another x-ray and things like that very soon. And that's about it really. So this isn't going to be like my usual unboxings where I'm sort of standing up and got the whole blade and the sing-song and everything. I'm afraid until I get full usage of this arm and my left hand back, I'm going to have to do things a little bit differently. But I wanted to keep the content coming out for all of you lot, just as a thank you really, more than anything, for all the support and kindness that you've shown me. Any other updates? I'll be going away just to the seaside for a few days on the 25th, but I don't think that's really going to affect anything regarding YouTube. I've still got little bits of things coming out. Hopefully there'll be another Funko Pop unboxing from me coming out before then, or me filming it before then. It might come out afterwards actually, by the time I get back. That one I think is going to be in a similar vein to this. This is from Hull Pops. This wasn't the box it came in, well, it was the box they came in, but double boxed, so there's a bigger box that this smaller one came within. That had plenty of bubble wrap around the sides and on top, so fantastic packaging from Hull Pops there, thank you very much. Ironically, these are 4 pops. I pre-ordered them back in January that would be out of box pops. They will be out of box pops for me. But A, to keep this video moving along, and B, I think I'm going to be struggling to take pops out properly out of their boxes and show you. I'm going to just go through them one by one. But there is 4 to look at in the WWE line, and I'm very excited to have a look. I'll give you a very quick flash of the box there. As you can see, I think you can see anyway, there's even more padded air in here. Right, let's just grab one at random. And the first one we've got from Hull today is number 86 in the WWE line. It's Edge. So Edge, the Hall of Famer in World Wrestling Entertainment, multi-time WWE and World Champion. He made his in-ring comeback in 2020, last year's Royal Rumble. That was after, I think it was 9 years almost of retirement. He's kind of back now as like a special attraction. He won this year's Royal Rumble, which meant he was entitled to get a Universal title shot at WrestleMania this year, which he didn't win, and I think that was the right call really. Maybe a little bit of a nostalgia run would have been okay, but the way Roman Reigns, the current Universal Champion, has been working as a heel the past almost a year now, yeah, I think it was the right decision to keep that particular title on Roman. As I suspected, box in brilliant condition. I'm not going to harp too much on about the line on the back, because we'll be looking at 3 more of these in a moment. But yeah, really happy that Edge has finally been released in Funko Pop form. He's a guy who transcends quite a few different wrestling eras now. Really came to prominence as a rookie during the Attitude Era, Then he sort of reached main event status and really established himself as one of the world's top workers in the Ruthless Aggression era, which always seems a bit of a daft title for me, but you know, from kind of 2002, 2003 up until the PG era, which was what, 2008, 2009 onwards. By that point, you know, he was established as one of WWE's top guys for a long time. There we are, Edge. I was grabbing these at random. Next one here is another guy who's a former WWE champion, but there's a bit of a convoluted way of him losing it, as he lost it when The Miz cashed in his Money in the Bank contract, and I will talk about that a little bit more shortly. And then The Miz pretty much jobbed out to Bobby Lashley for the WWE title a day or a week or so afterwards, and Lashley's been the champion ever since. By the time you're watching this video, there'll have been another pay-per-view, Hell in a Cell, and McIntyre may have won the title back, he may not, we don't know. Well, I don't know now, but by the time you're watching this, we'll know. So yeah, Drew McIntyre. I've been a big advocate for Drew McIntyre since his main event push came about, kind of from, I would say, 2019 onwards. He won the 2020 Rumble. It was Edge who won the 2021 Rumble, of course. Yeah, won the 2020 Rumble, of course. Beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania last year. That was, of course, the infamous two-night WrestleMania filmed in an empty room for obvious restrictive reasons. He had a great run as champion. I was really happy to see that, for the most part, apart from a brief loss to Randy Orton and they beat him for it back late last year, he had a pretty good lengthy run as WWE champion on the Raw brand. I think now he's kind of got a little bit silly with some of his Scottish warrior sort of mannerisms and persona, and although I wouldn't be unhappy to see him beat Lashley and become champion again, I'm sure he will be world champion on one of the brands again sooner or later. It won't bother me if he has a bit of a break from the main event scene, or from the title scene at least, for a little while from now on, as you know, he's made it, he's got to the upper echelon, good for him, but I think maybe his character work needs going back to the drawing board a little bit, and that's not his fault, that's because he's on Monday Night Raw, which is an absolutely terrible show, and I just refuse to watch it because it's just an absolute waste of 3 hours every week. And if I'm not going to watch it all, I'm not going to watch any of it, and even watching half an hour or so I think could annoy me because it's just that badly written. But that's not Drew's fault, you know, he's just given his script and told who he's winning against or losing to. So two more to show you. I feel like this unboxing's been going on quite some time, mainly because I've had plenty to talk about with the wrestlers. And I've got a little bit to talk about this guy here, because this pop, it's a great looking one. It's Otis, brackets Money in the Bank. And it did annoy me when this was announced. This pop was already out of date because Otis had lost his Money in the Bank contract that he won at Money in the Bank 2020 last year, the pay-per-view, in that weird Titan Towers match. It was quite entertaining actually, and it was obvious he wasn't going to cash in on anyone sort of big and, you know, really pushed like Drew McIntyre or a Roman Reigns or anyone like that. So everyone was kind of figuring, who's he going to lose the briefcase to? And he lost the briefcase to Miz. This was out of date when this was announced earlier this year, really. But it's my first pop that I've got in the WWE line where a wrestler is actually holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. So that is a nice little touch. Otis, yeah, he's alright as a kind of mid-card comedy act. I think he made Vince McMahon chuckle for a couple of weeks or so. That's why he got given the Money in the Bank contract. But it was pretty obvious he was never going to become world champion, not least out of winning that contract. But yeah, it was another WWE pop. Now the fourth one, probably the one I was most excited about when this wave was announced. By the way, there's another Steve Austin in this wave, if you can just see on the back there. But I've already got a Steve Austin, an older variant, in my collection, so I didn't order that. This is number 85, this is China. And about bloody time, there's been a China Funko Pop, I reckon. Real pioneer in not just women's wrestling, but in the whole Attitude Era in wrestling, where she was one of the biggest stars around. She was on Raw every week, SmackDown as well, when that started in 1999. You know, she had a prominent position in groups like D-Generation X, the Corporation. Originally, she kind of came on the scene in, I think it was 1997, as just sort of like this really tough, almost androgynous valet to Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who was her partner in real life back then. She evolved into, well, not exactly a brilliant wrestler, but just as a character, this kind of stoic, granite-faced, granite-jawed she-male of a woman. I'm trying to say it as nice as possible, but you know, there was that kind of, well, is she, you know, 100% pure woman? Of course she was, really. I think it was fortunate that after a while, that would have been, I think, 99, 2000, she did have some surgery on her jaw to make herself look a bit more feminine, at least in her facial features. First ever woman to hold the Intercontinental title. She went on to win the women's title, but she wasn't long for the company at that point in 2001. She was briefly considered for a WWF or WWE World title run in 1999. From what I know about it, it wouldn't have been a particularly long run. Should have held it for a week or two, or maybe even only a night, and maybe dropped it back to Steve Austin or dropped it to Triple H or whatever. But the decision was made later on that no, they're going to just keep her as Triple H's valet or bodyguard type person for a little while longer. And then later on in '99, she of course got the feud with Chris Jericho. Oh, and one prior to that with Jeff Jarrett, going for the Intercontinental title. But it would have been very interesting to see Chyna as the first female to win a male world title in a major wrestling promotion, some 20 years before Tessa Blanchard did it in Impact Wrestling. I liked Chyna back in the day. I was never a massive fan, but she was kind of a unique attraction, something a little bit different from the bra and panties era that Chyna was wrestling in, don't forget, where it didn't really matter if you had an awful lot of skill. There was some skilled wrestlers in the WWF women's division back then, like Jacqueline and Ivory, but they still had to do all the lingerie matches and mud pit stuff and everything like that. Whereas Chyna, once she sort of broke away from Triple H and DX, the Corporation, etc., and she started establishing herself as a true solo act, she was an even bigger star. And obviously she left the company. That would have been, 2001. We never saw her during the Invasion angle. Her life kind of spiraled from there on in, really. Personal life went to hell. Never did get back to WWE. She'd split with Triple H, a good year or two before she left, because he was seeing Stephanie McMahon, who was his on-screen romance at the time. All that sort of stuff. But I'm really happy that Chyna Pop's been brought out, because she is a legend, certainly in an era of the business that I watched every week, and it was appointment television. If only WWE could be appointment television like that again. Those days I think are probably gone forever now, but excellent stuff. Chyna. So there we are, just to save me kind of using the one hand again. That was the 4 WWE Pops that I'd pre-ordered from Hull back in January. They're all in stock now, so they all got sent at once. I think a couple of these have been in stock for a while at Hull, but they've waited for the other 2 to come in, and that's fair enough. I'd rather get them all at once in a way, even if it means having to wait for some of them a bit longer. That's perfectly fine, so thank you to all Pops for that. We've got Chyna, we've got Drew McIntyre, we've got Otis, and we've got Edge. So thank you all of you for watching, really appreciate it. As I said earlier, sorry that this unboxing and probably at least another one afterwards is going to be in this sort of format, but as you can see, I'm doing things one-armed and one-handed really, but I want to get some new content out there, and I love collecting Pops. Really excited when I knew these ones were being sent out, so I didn't really want to wait around until my arm was all better to get these open. I want them now! Special thanks go, as they always do, to all of my lovely subscribers and my wonderful, generous patrons. All of my social media links, they're on the screen right now, and in the description text box, there you will see all my referral links for Contents Insurance, Funko products, Pop Protectors from ATV, the whole kit and caboodle is down there. One more big thank you for everyone's support and everyone's lovely messages that I've had over the past couple of weeks or so, or however long it's been since, well, it was the 4th when all this initially happened. 4th of June. It'll be a day that's etched in infamy in this household. But I'm going to go now. Probably struggle, and I might need to ask for some help off my kids or somebody to get pops out of their boxes and put them in this wrestling cabinet that there's some space for in there. And I do hope that all of you will join me again next time for my next Funko Pop unboxing. Cheers everyone. See ya!